One of the things that happens when you're with your family is you do a whole bunch of reminiscing about your life. Some of the things you say out loud and some you don't. I wasn't sure that I wanted to remind my dad of how bad my sister Wanda and I were one time, but what the heck, let's just do it. Dad, do you remember? It was a wintry spring day, and you were coming home from shift work at the base in New Hampshire, and Wanda and I thought we would surprise you and Mom. So we thought we'd make you some coffee, and we had on those bunny pajamas with the foots in there, you know? And we went outside and took a Maxwell House can of coffee that had some grounds in it, and we put some snow in the coffee can, because evidently we understood the snow turns into water. So we took said snow in said coffee can and put it on the pilot light on the stove, because we also knew that we shouldn't turn on the stove. But we put the can on the stove, and the snow melted, and the coffee grounds became thick and gooey, and I still have the burn on my hand from trying to get the coffee can off the stove. And we stirred it up thickly, and we poured you a cup of coffee, and we poured the kitchen floor a cup of coffee as well. So that was your surprise. But Mommy's surprise, oh, this was so much better. We took all of those little Avon samples that you used to get. Anybody know what I'm talking about? They smelled so good. It's like each lipstick color had a particular smell, and we had some peach ones and some red ones. It was very lovely. We decided to make Mommy's face up. So we had that Dixie peach powder, which was too light for brown people, but if you really blended it in, it could work. So we really blended it in deeply, and then we took the lipstick and we painted her lips, and we gave her some rouge. She is still sleeping, okay, through all of this. Because Mommy could sleep, right, Dad? Through the storms of life, Mama could sleep. So there she is, all sleeping. And then, since we had extra lipstick, we decided we would paint the headboard. Yeah, their beautiful blonde headboard. We decorated it. It was sort of like, I don't know, impressionist art, you know. So the door opens, and Dad walks in, and Emma? He says loudly, and she's still sleeping. And why didn't I take advantage of the sleeping mom syndrome and scamper into our bedroom and hide in the closet before Dad discovers the crap on the floor? Children, what the hell you been doing in here? I don't think you spanked Mom, but we got a spanking. Yeah. We were bad that day. We did some other bad things, like the medical book. Do you guys have one of those old, big, green, thick medical books with the gold embossed edges? It was kind of like the Bible, only scarier. And Mom and Dad kept both scary books up on top of the shelf. And one time I climbed up the shelf to get the medical book and got it down and opened it up to show Wanda. Wanda's watching. The scariest pictures of life. Legs with elephantiasis, big encephalitis heads, scabs, blisters. Oh my God. I had nightmares about that for years. Daddy, did you know that we snuck and read that? Okay, you knew that too? Damn. I hated peas when I was growing up. And so if we were ever served sweet peas, I'd stick them around the edge of my plate because I thought they wouldn't know I had stuck the peas around the edge of my plate. It's like a baby playing peekaboo, right? I can't see it. It must not be there. So the skanky, scabby, yucky peas stuck around the plate, they would be there, I think, for a really long time. Anyway, parents know way more about us than we like to pretend that they know. They know about hiding peas. They know about coffee grinds. They know about medical books. They know about stuff you did that was bad with the boy or the girl. You first did the bad stuff with the boy or girl. Come on. They know. They know all about us. Psychologists would say the way our parents love us and know us is part of the way we develop our sense of who God is. Our God image is shaped in relation to the people who loved us and knew us. So if your parents are kind of scary, thundery, loud, screaming people, the first God you get is a thundering, screaming, loud God. Does that make sense? And if your parents are more the now, let's talk about it, baby parents, most of us end up with an early God image that's more grace-filled, more gentle, more loving. But it's the constellation of things like that. How were we parented? What did our Sunday school teacher tell us? What kind of stained glass windows were around? Did we get to stay in church and have a good time, or we shuttled away? All of those experiences help us to think about what God is like. Do you remember the scene in The Color Purple where Shug, I'm talking about the book now, better than the book, but the movie's good too, where the theologian Shug Avery is trying to tell Celie that God is not an old white man with a bunch of hair? She tells her that it just wants to be loved, just like anything else. And she tells her, if you're looking for God, you'll find God inside yourself. The psalmist has a certain kind of image about who God is. I've told you before, and I'll remind you again, that if David wrote this psalm, he didn't write it because he was in a perfectly fabulous, beautiful, non-broken relationship with God. He wrote it being a human being, a beautiful shepherd boy that grew up to be a king, who killed a giant named Goliath, but also who, had a crush on Bathsheba and decided to make her his mistress, and then decided to kill her husband so he could have her. Do you understand what I'm saying? David wasn't a perfect guy. He was a human being guy who prayed this psalm about the relationship with the God that was shaped in his development, a God of love and grace, a God who knew David fully and loved him anyway. Where can I go from your spirit? Is there any place I can hide from you? David prays. If I make my bed in heaven, in other words, if I'm on the be good track, you're there. But if I make my bed in hell, in other words, if I, like every human being on the planet, make mistakes, fall down, tell a fib, not y'all, but most people every now and then. I mean, I know my middle people have never told a fib, but some people, someplace, have told a fib. If I tell a fib, if I hold on to anger too long, if I mistreat someone, if I, in my human beingness, make a mistake, God, you're there too. If I say I'm going to run to the far places of the earth, there's no hiding place from you. I can tell myself that I can hide behind a rock or in the dark or in my workaholism or in my drink. I can hide in my sex. I can hide in my busy. And God, I can't, not even in that. You can see me. And the peas stuck around the edge of my plate. You can see the shenanigans that I do to defend myself. You can see all of the intricate and elaborate stories I tell myself about why I'm like I am. And you can see all of the equipment and material and stuff I put between me and other people. You can see all of that, God, and it doesn't surprise you because you know me and you made me. The Hebrew words in this text are so beautiful. Unformed substance sometimes gets translated to embryo, but that's not true. It's really just stuff. It's like protoplasm or amoeba or mud. When we were yet mud. teeny, tiny, pea-sized mud. David, imperfect David, says God knew us then. While we were a thought in our mom and dad's mind, before they were out dancing to I Found My Thrill on Blueberry Hill and, on a date, and then did the do to make the us. God knew us, is what the psalmist is saying. And then saying that we're fearfully and wonderfully made. Fearfully and wonderfully made, I often translate to awesomely and wonderfully made, but actually a better translation is reverently made. David is claiming in his humanity, in his imperfection, that is reverent. In other words, holy imperfection, Batman. Not we're fearfully and wonderfully made and see the perfectedness of us, but the humanness of us. The fact that we're not perfect is what God reveres. The fact that we are not having it all together is by design, maybe so we yearn for this holy other called God. Does that make sense to you? The design of humanity, Rabbi Kushner would say, is that we continue to evolve to be like the one God is calling us to be, but our frailty, our brokenness, our insecurities, our indecision, our in-progressness is by design. Maybe so the lover will know how much we need her. This is an intimate psalm. Martin Buber, who's an early 20th century Jewish philosopher, wrote a poem about God and humankind. He wrote, "Where I wander, you. Where I ponder, you. Only you, you again, always you. You, you, you. When I'm gladdened, you. When I'm saddened, you. Only you. You again, always you. You, you, you. Sky is you. Earth is you. You above, you below. In every trend, at every end, only you. You again, always you. Always you." The word for fearful, awesome, made is often used as a synonym for love. The word is Yara. We know a woman who's named Yara. When we're growing up, we spend a lot of time trying to hide our imperfections from our people, our parents. Too many of us grow up in contexts, in school, on playgrounds, in the world that we first encounter where we feel we have to hide who we are in order to be safe and survive. And I guess I want to tell you today that there's one being from whom we don't have to hide ourselves. And I call that being God, and I don't really care what you call that being. Call it light, call it love. What might you call the being that's outside of us? Can you translate? The universe. What would you call the isness that I'm talking about? The source. The mystery. The I am. The unknown. The divine. The ground of all being. That. Did I miss somebody? Yeah. The Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. That being that I'm called God, which is simply the word good in the German. Gott, good, became God. So all the translations you just made are just as good as the Germans. Because God is a mystery, right? That face that my professor told me is the face that would never leave us, the face that we keep searching for, the face over the crib, the face in the playpen, the face in the bedroom, the face in the sanctuary, the face that sees you and knows you and loves you, That one loves you unconditionally, and you don't need to play escape and hide from God. It's so much energy to put up a facade, isn't it? It's exhausting to have a persona, isn't it? Yes. It's like stuff we could be doing other stuff with. Like loving each other. What if we took deeply seriously as a spiritual practice that God sees us? And if God, good, universe, mystery, sees us and loves us, why not show ourselves to everyone? Why not make a spiritual practice of truth-telling about who we are? What would be the risk? Someone will reject you. You might be found out that you're more vulnerable than you want people to know. Imperfection. What might be the risk? You might get hurt. Judgment. What else? Rejection. Shame. Rejection. Lose your job. I'm sorry? Ignorance. Yeah, you might face ignorance. That's true. Amen. But so, what if you created a safe circle in which to practice being naked? Because you really can't be naked everywhere. Please don't take your clothes off at work. It's not a good idea. Leave your clothes on, leave your Spanx on, right? I'm kidding. But what if we were practicing in our intimate relationships being real? You with me? What if we were practicing from a place of spirit being honest inside our families, inside our love relationships, with our children? I'm convinced that if we show our little people that we know how to show ourselves, that we'll create a revolution. That the little babies in our lives need to understand how to get plain, how to get real, how to get honest. That in itself will dismantle some of the isms about which we fight. That will disrupt racism, will disrupt sexism, will disrupt homophobia because we are true. Example, you're in a conversation and someone is saying some crap about some stuff about gay people. Your real self is thinking, I'm outraged at this conversation. But your persona self thinks, I can't take the risk to say anything because they might wonder about me or there might be repercussions. Are you with me? What if we told the truth? I can't abide your bias. Not here, not now, not on my watch. What if we disrupted racism with this? Whenever we heard, it's very impolitic to say the N-word these days. But how many conversations are you in that you know are racist? Subtle anti-Semitic comments. They cast about. They have all the money. That's my experience. But they have all the money, or they run Hollywood, or they, right? And it goes from they, the Jews, to they, the Muslims, to they, the Latinos, who are all Mexican and, all can't drive, or you know what I'm talking about, all that stuff that gets said. Or they, the Chinese, who can't really relate to prejudice because they assimilate and the white people aren't mad at them, right? These conversations, what would happen if we showed ourselves as light bearers who won't tolerate that? Even if a question is what we feel confident to raise. Really? I don't know if I feel that way, I don't know. I don't know if I feel that way. I don't know if I feel comfortable with that. David was an imperfect dude who prayed this psalm about the God who created him reverently and awesomely, who knew him when he was yet inside his mother's womb, a kind of metaphor for God knowing him so up close, almost codependently, that he might as well be who he is. He might as well be in a relationship that's honest and straightforward with God. And if God is good, and God is mystery, and God is holy, and God is the universe, then why not with the other human one who just isn't as scary, who just isn't as powerful? Why not risk the vulnerable showing, seeing, shining? Do you remember that movie, Contact? Is that the movie? What the beings looks like? Am I in the right movie? I think I'm not. Old people get in a pool, there's an egg. Thank you, Cocoon. Help me. Help me. They're like, Contact? That's Jodie Foster. Cocoon, Rockwell Welch's daughter. Old people get in a pool, they get in the pool and the energy comes from the pool. And the Rockwell Welch's daughter, she was really beautiful. I had a little crush on her, but I was straight. She's in her human being costume, and when she unveils herself, she's what? She's just light. She's just light. We are just light inside these cocoons, these bodies, these hiding places. That's as far as I'm going to go. What if we... Thank God my zipper's in the back, right? What if we just showed ourselves to be who we really are? Imagine the power we'd unleash. Seen by God, known by love. Like not any parent, not even a good parent, knows you as well as God does. And then that gives us a project, a dharma, a work to do. On your bulletin, I'm asking you, what's your dharma? The dharma is our purpose, our higher calling. And I'm inviting us in this summer of liberation we know we're in, to think of ourselves on a spiritual path of revealing and seeing. Revealing ourselves and seeing the other, seeing past the facade, seeing past the construct, seeing beyond the fault and finding the need. It's a way to walk the talk this summer, to be on a path toward showing our hidden stuff. One more metaphor to mix them totally up. I've been in my prayers thinking about all the things that are in my windshield, all of the things that I know about myself that are right here, easy to see. And then there's this stuff right here in my blind spot. Does anybody have stuff in their blind spot besides me? I won't make you say which yours is. Somebody said, please? please. Keys. Okay, yeah, that's not exactly what I mean, but okay. I lose my keys every day. But I'm peas. Oh, my God. Oh. What? Peas. My peas are in my blind spot. That was funny. Thank you. Once I got that, peace. Some of what's in my blind spot is my inability to hear. Some of what's in my blind spot is like patterns I'll do over and over again. And that's why you go to therapy, so you can do them a little less. Some of what's in my blind spot is wounds. And some of what's in my blind spot is gifts. Some of what's in your blind spot is stuff that you have developed, maybe because of the stuff that's happened to you. But it's right here. And when you get into the truth taxi with yourself, or your therapist, or your spiritual director, or your pastor, plural, some of this stuff can get into the foreground of your self-awareness. And you can use that gift to heal the world. So now pull out your bulletins. These are my introverted sermons. We got work to do, okay? So look at the back of your bulletin. Where those bullet points are. Where are they, Rob? On the middle panel? The middle panel?
Much better.
Yeah, I can do better. Okay. In the middle panel, I've got questions for you. Second panel? Okay. This week, seen, known, and loved. What have you been putting energy in about God not seeing about you? Isn't that what it says, George? Hilarious! We can't hide from God. What do you want God to see that you think is hidden? Put that on your prayer list. What do you want to know more fully about yourself that is awesome and wonderful? Back here in your blind spot, getting in front of you. And finally, what's your dharma? What's your purpose around this issue right now? Is it teaching your child to stop hiding? Is it creating a safe container for someone you love to come out to you about everything? They're being gay, or coming out about being afraid, or coming out about being, right? Broken. Coming out about being, using substances in ways that are, what kind of stage do you want to set for someone to tell you the truth? What's your work? All right? Dad, Wanda and I did some more bad things. We're not going to tell you anymore. We don't think it's helpful for you to know everything. But I think we do want God to know everything. However you name that, source. Get naked. Go deep. Come clean. Put it out there. What have we got to lose? Amen.